if you'd like, where everyone can access all of this information, including the PowerPoints. So then that way y'all don't miss out. So that's it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kelly and Jody to go ahead, and we're going to do introductions. And actually at that, I'll just introduce myself real quick. Hi, everyone. My name is Alona Nagy. I'm one of the two HOMEARP specialists, and my focus is actually on non-congregate shelters. And so that is what I'm working on. And then I'll hand it over to these two. Thanks.
My name is Jody Key. I'm also a compliance specialist, and my focus will be more so on the LIHTC housing piece.
And then I'm Kelly Evans. I'm the HOMEARP manager, and I'm going to take us through data-driven design and figuring out who you're representing, how that plays out in your community, and what the demographic profile looks like. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get us started. Okay, so you should be seeing, here we go. You should be seeing the HOMEARP office hours data informed development title screen. We're going to talk about the HOMEARP program a little bit. We're going to talk about data informed developments and a couple of key takeaways. As always, we have our links on here so that you can take a picture of it if you need to. We'll also post this entire presentation to the HOMEARP section of the DCA website. So if you were with us last week, you know that we have roughly $87 million in HOMEARP funds, and the two main programs that it's going to go to are the non-congregate shelter portion, which is currently getting ready to issue a NOFA at the end of this month, first part of June. And then also the tax credit portion is getting a little more than $64 million. And that will be for the 2024 tax credit season, which will start this time next year. You'll start to see information about it come out late fall. Early January is when it'll start really kicking off. And then by this time next year, we'll be looking forward to those applications. So let's talk about housing as a continuum. One of the things that I think is really important to understand is DCA has roughly 60 programs that we fund, and a large portion of those are related to housing. And we fund across the continuum. So the continuum of housing can be anywhere. You can find that a person is in this continuum at any given point and can move fluidly back and forth depending upon their circumstances. It starts with people who are homeless, unhoused. You have emergency sheltering. Typically, that is going to represent no income on behalf of that person. Domestic violence shelters are the exception to that by and large, but that is going to be handled by the Emergency Solutions Grant and the Continuum of Care within DCA. And then you move over to the next section, and that's transitional housing and social housing. This is going to be represented by both permanent supportive housing as well as the housing choice voucher and public housing authorities within the state. And that is going to be, the cost of housing is on a sliding scale based on income and can be anything from 0 to 30% of someone's income. The next section is where tax credit falls. And this is affordable rental housing and affordable home ownership. Tax credit is the affordable rental housing piece. We have an affordable home ownership piece that's getting ready to come out this summer that was approved by the state legislature and the governor's office. And there's more information about that on the DCA website. We're going to focus here for a minute on tax credit. So affordable rental housing, 30% of your gross income or less should be going towards housing. Anything more than that is considered housing burdened, or in the case of rental housing, rent burdened. And so that is kind of the area that we want to target and make sure that families are not paying more than 30% of their gross adjusted income. Anything that is beyond that is going to be considered private market. There's nothing that's subsidizing to make the rents affordable. It is traditional private housing. And in Georgia, because of the influx of people that we're seeing coming into the state, we are seeing where housing prices are going up at a very high rate. And so affordability is getting more and more out of reach for many, many Georgians. And so the group of people who now falls into the affordable rental housing and affordable home ownership category is getting larger and larger. So what does that mean? Well, it means that people who live in Georgia and who live in tax credit properties throughout Georgia, we asked a sampling of our tax credit management companies to go in and tell us a little bit about where their residents work. And this map represents a large portion of the logos and the businesses that employ our residents that are in tax credit properties. And as you can see, we're talking about FedEx, Publix, the Georgia Ports Authority, Let's down on the coast, Bluebird, United States Air Force. This is a wide and varied range of employers across the state, and their employees need affordable housing. So I took an example county and I pulled up what is the family median income for Troup County, Georgia. And this is what you want to do for your counties that you serve. So if you are predominantly in one county, you can go pull it for one. If you serve multiple counties, you can pull it for multiple. I chose Troup because, I don't know, it just came up. So for Troup County, I wanted to look at a 4-person family, and I wanted to look at, okay, what is the median family income? Well, first of all, the median family income in Troup County for 2022 was $69,900. Median being right slap in the middle. Okay. And so for a 4-person family who is at 50% of area median income, that 4-person family has an income of $32,950 a year. Why is that important? Because tax credit properties tend to be target people who are 50 to 60% of area median income. So for Troup County, that's going to be people who are right around that $33,000 a year income mark. So the next thing we have to do is, okay, so we know now what the median income is, and we know what 50% of the median income is. So let's take a look at what a fair market valuation on rental housing is. So for 2022 in Troup County, a 1-bedroom fair market value, $632. A 2-bedroom, which would be the minimum bedroom size you would have for a 4-person family, is $832 a month for a 2-bedroom unit. Okay, that is considered what would be considered a market rate. So then you want to say, okay, does somebody who is at 50% of area median income, can they afford a 2-bedroom unit making $33,000 a year, or will that go over 30% of their gross adjusted income? And that's where we get to this. So last week we talked about how tax credits work. You want to go buy a house, your mortgage is going to be $700 a month for a $100,000 house. Then somebody says, okay, I'm going to give you $70,000 and I'm going to reduce the cost of your mortgage down to you financing $30,000. So now your monthly mortgage is $200. That is what tax credit does for an apartment complex. It says we're going to finance a large portion of the cost of you building this apartment complex so that you don't have to put a mortgage on it and pay that mortgage every month. And in exchange for us doing that, we're going to have you make sure that your rents are affordable for people who are making 50% of area median income, which for Troup County, that's $33,000 a year. So then we say, okay, how does this work for Troup County? Okay, And what we look at is we look at the 2-bedroom, which said the fair market rent was $832. We then take that roughly $33,000 that a 4-person family makes at 50% of median income. We divide it by 12 months. We say, okay, this is what their monthly income is. And then we multiply it times 30%. And that tells us that they can afford $824 a month and still be at 30% of area median income. 30% of their income is going towards housing. So they are not rent burdened. So in this case, for Troup County, affordable housing, tax credit housing, and the fair market rents that are associated with tax credit housing provides workforce housing for people, because the 50% AMI and the fair market rents are roughly equal. That's how affordability works. That's how we use tax credits to incentivize affordable units being built. So let's go back to our model. Okay, and so affordable rental housing is in the middle, right here. And it's housing where you know that you're going to have people who are paying roughly 30% of their income. And you want to make sure that you have that affordability piece there, because it's very, very hard to jump from social housing with housing on a sliding scale to market rate housing. That is an incredible job. We look at people transitioning from one segment to the other, and they make one jump in that process. So you have to move through affordability to get to a place where you have the kind of market housing choice that you're looking for, the market home ownership that you're looking for. And that is what, for most counties, that's where they're headed. They would like to get to a place where the market is driving the rental housing, the market is driving home ownership. However, there is a subsection that you have to understand can't afford that. So what can they afford? And whether or not you have enough housing in that area is the question you have to start asking yourself. How many people do I have that are homeless and at the emergency shelter level? How many people do I have who are in transitional housing or social housing, and their income is fluctuating and they need a sliding scale? How many people do I have who need affordable housing and affordable home ownership? And how many people do I have that can pay market rates, especially as market rates are rising in Georgia? So that's what a community-driven process looks like. You look at all of the different types of data that you have. You go back and you look at the data that you have across other applications that you've put in. You look at census data. You look at McKinney-Vento child homelessness data. You also simultaneously look at who are the populations that we know we need to serve. Who are the populations that the cost of services is going up? And it's going up faster than we could possibly pay for it. And then you look at the community partners. You bring all of that information together, all of the data that they each bring to the table, and you start to take a look at what do we have versus what do we need.